Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, stop what you're doing. Stop playing the game. Ain't no time for practice. Ain't no time for the library. Ain't no time for fast food, eats, none of that. Because over here is just hoops. Hey, man, how you feeling?
Hey, feeling good. Long week. Long week.
A lot going on, bro.
A lot going on.
Notifications left and right, phone buzzing, trade.
Yeah, shout out Shams. I don't know how he does it. I was tired just looking. So,
Yeah, I saw his a post about his screen time. You saw that? It was like 20 hours.
yeah. And you see that boy hit the Jimmy pose at the end of
Yeah, leaning over the chair.
Yeah, no, shout out to Shams though. He put in that work.
Yeah. Hey, we forgot last episode with all the Luka drama and all that going on. We forgot to introduce ourselves, to the people that might not know,
Might
you
not
know,
know.
this D Watt,
Yep.
Amari, and over here is just hoops.
Just
Episode
hoops.
2. We locked in. Appreciate the support in the repost from the first episode. But we got a lot to cover in this second episode, so let's get straight into it.
Get into it. So, first episode was the beginning of the end of the trade deadline. Like that's when teams were starting to really be for real about it, realize what was coming up. And then on Thursday at 3 p.m., trade deadline ended. We got at least, I would say, nine potential big trades. But a trade I want to start with Jimmy Butler to the Warriors.
Hmm, okay.
I think that's a good trade. I just don't know how I feel about Draymond and Jimmy because Draymond is a very, what's the word? What to say? Draymond is very self-dominant and wants it to be he wants to be that vocal leader, that glue guy. But
Right.
we all know watching Jimmy's a glue guy. Took that Heat team to the finals, and Jimmy's also very vocal.
Yep.
And last time Draymond had a vocal teammate, he got shipped out to Washington.
Right. Um, with that whole situation, I feel like the Warriors had to do something. Um, they started off the season really well. Over the last month or two, definitely have fallen a lot,
Yeah,
a lot of losing streaks, and I feel like they felt pressure to do something to try to maximize the years left that they got with Steph. Um, the Jimmy Butler trade, I mean, that's a good fit for them. They traded Wiggins, which Wiggins, Dennis Schroeder, and Kyle Anderson. Um, which I feel like honestly, all they did was get a better Wiggins.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean? So I don't feel like this trade really hurts them. I think locker room wise, they'll work it out. Like Golden State, they're winners over there, right?
yeah.
Jimmy's took teams to the finals. Jimmy's a winner as well. He might not have got over that last hump, but Jimmy's a winner. I think they'll figure it out. And I think they'll be all right. I mean, but with all the other trades going on, I don't know how to gauge who's really competitive, and
Yeah,
who's not.
nah, it's like almost every team is really competitive besides the Wizards, Hornets. They're still young, growing.
Right.
Um, that's honestly it. Sixers, they're having a rough year, injuries and whatnot. But
See,
good.
see, when I think about like competitive though, like I'm really thinking who's really championship ready. Like the West is deep and competitive, but I don't look at every team in the West as a team that could win a championship right now. Especially with how trades just happened and teams got better. Like I don't think the Suns I don't think the Suns got it.
I
They
don't
didn't
think they
make
have it.
no improvements, like I don't see how they could. I mean, I bet they tried, but I don't see how they could see all these trades going on, see all the movement going on, and not do anything to try to make the roster better with the guys that they got.
I think they're also in a hard position because, the leading up to trade deadline, Bradley Beal not doing what he's supposed to do at all.
Right. Right.
And but he also had that no trade clause.
Yeah.
So that's an awkward position. And then once that trade deadline period's coming around, Brad hooping. He started averaging 20. And so
Uh-huh.
then you're just in that position. It's like you give him up when he's starting to figure it out, get over that hump that he's having.
Yeah.
And you also got to deal with the fact that he might be like, no, I'm not going there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
True.
think Suns do have an awkward position of trying to build a team when they already have three players who get paid so much. It's
Uh-huh.
hard to get that fourth player that they need.
Yeah. Yeah. What about some other trades? Lakers Mark Williams. Uh how you feel about that one?
I like that trade. Mark, for one, younger than Don Connect.
Mhm.
It hurts to see Don go. He was good on the Lakers. LeBron loved him. He was
Right.
a valuable player, but
Right.
they just got a younger player with him who has more league experience and has been dominant this season.
Yeah.
And I think that was ultimately the five they needed. And Hayes has been playing good. Hayes coming off the bench with that second squad. They'll have a consistent five rotation, and I
Yeah.
think they'll be all right.
I didn't even because we were talking about the Lakers and how they needed a big. Mark Williams didn't even come to
Yeah,
mind
he
for
slipped
me
my mind
because of the youth and because of how good he's been on the Hornets. I mean, I haven't really watched lots of Hornets games this year, but every time I'm looking at the box score of the game, Mark Williams dominating. So I don't. That's kind of tough for the to give up a promising five like that. But I mean, they go back Don Connect, who's been very good you know, uh, can shoot from anywhere. But also, the Lakers did just trade away one of their best shooters, you know. So I don't know where the additional shooting comes from, as they didn't really bring in another shooter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but then you got Bron hitting three threes in 48 seconds. So
Hey,
do
this
you
dude
really
here,
do you really need that shooter when he could just do that at any instant?
he's 40, by the way.
He's 40. 40 with 47 points.
17 rebounds, 8 assists. Hey, he was looking like 09 for a second last night.
Yeah,
Thought I had the wrong game on.
whatever Luka did to that man or is saying to him on the sideline, just continue to say it because
Hey,
I'm
yeah, we talked about this. Braun's showing out for Luca right now.
for
He
sure.
is. He is. Luca done came in and it's added a little something.
I feel like that whole team is, they cameras be cutting to him a lot and they all talking to him, all laughing on the bench.
Right. Right.
So I don't want to say there was toxic vibes in LA before, but it's a lot of smiles on that bench now.
Uh, I was actually thinking about this last night, watching the game. Every championship team, like the chemistry of that team is so great, and you always see the bench is a big part of the energy that's given to that team and goes into winning a lot. And I saw like when I was watching the Cavs Celtics, Cavs bench was up the whole time, and you see the difference between winning teams and losing teams
Yeah.
based off the vibe of the team chemistry and the team like as a whole. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The losing teams, it's like the starting five, that's their
Right,
group. But then the bench, that's about
right,
it. That's all you
right,
get.
right, right.
But the winning teams, yeah, player hit a three or something. They on the court with their towels.
Hey, remember
Just I
Drummond when Brown was posted up? Drummond up.
Yeah, see that, but that's what you need. You need that bench
Facts,
energy. They go get you.
facts.
You having a rough night, they go, you good? Come on, you do this.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the losing teams, they don't got that. And so yeah, like the Cavs, they got that, and that's why their record is what it is, and they winning.
Speaking of the Cavs,
Speaking of the Cavs,
speaking of the Cavs, DeAndre Hunter has been traded for Karis LeVert, uh, Georges Niang. Was there a pick in that trade? I can't remember.
I want to say so. I want to say some seconds, second rounds.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw the post on Instagram and you brought it up to me about if the Cavs got the best starting five in the league. And we really got to talk about it,
Well, DeAndre Hunter is a phenomenal player,
right?
size of the ball. And I don't I believe they have the best five. You got two, three all-stars already on your team.
hmm
And then you just
Jared Allen was an all-star
Jared Allen was
previously.
an all-star. So you really got four. Then you just bring in uh both sides of the ball threat that can and you already got D-Mitch. D-Mitch is a great on-ball defender. You got
Right,
an inside presence.
right.
So that's taken away teams four of their five options by itself, right?
hmm Yeah,
And I don't defense wins championships and when you can limit a team to one scorer that may be able to get a bucket easier than the other four, you're bound for success.
yeah, yeah. I uh I really like that trade for the Cavs. The Cavs always been with their four guys, and then that wing position had always that small forward position had always been the void that
Yeah.
they needed to fill. They had Isaac Okoro playing, and they kept him. They still got Okoro off the bench as a backup now. They had Max Strus starting for a while. Karis LeVert got some starts, so they kind of was always tossing and turning between guys in that small forward position, and now they finally got their guy. And DeAndre Hunter this season been phenomenal, coming off the bench in Atlanta. And Iggy was saying on a podcast with Udonis Haslam and Mike Miller, Iggy was talking about how once you start coming off the bench, like teams see that and that's you. You know what I mean? Once you start playing it off the bench, like it's something that teams lock you into. And I think the Cavs did a good job of not, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I really hope that they start in DeAndre Hunter over there because that's a great addition to their five.
Yeah, coming with that second unit, show who you it show the player you really are if
Right.
you are coming off that bench and they come in 7 minutes left in first quarter
hmm
to about the end of the first and part
Yeah.
of the second, but they get a good run in. And like you said, the Cavs, it was good that they were able to watch and then have faith that they're okay. I like what I see, and he's worthy of giving up one of our better threes in hopes that he's going to provide what we need for this team.
hmm
So yeah, like you said, I like this trade a lot. I think of all the trades, I got the Lakers first. I think they did
Rob
amazing.
Pelinka killed it. Rob
Yeah,
Pelinka killed it.
but then I put the Cavs second, even though it was just one player. I think it was a very large addition and a
Yeah,
very needed addition.
and good for them for not settling where they are right now.
Yeah,
Um, Number one seed in the East, having one of their best seasons in a long time, and good for them for not settling and being buyers at the deadline.
you know who
On the
did.
flip side, though, the Hawks, I don't know what direction the Hawks are going in right now. No idea.
And I seen a post saying Trey's time with the Hawks is murky. He might be out of there. So
hmm
yeah, I genuinely have no clue what they have going on out.
I think that they should go rebuild because if you look at their young pieces, right, there's Jalen Johnson, Onyeka Okongwu, Zachary Richardson, Dyson Daniels. That's four very young pieces right there that you could build a core around. And you trade Trey Young, you're only getting the assets that you're getting for Trey Young will only complement that. So
Right.
I think the Hawks should go full rebuild because with the trades that they're doing right now, it doesn't move them one direction or the other, right? And the Hawks have always been a team that's just sitting around that 9, 10 seed. They had that 1 year that I think has fooled them, like the front office, fooled the fans, fooled that when they went to the conference finals,
hmm
you know it, and they've never been close to being back to that stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's almost like it's like the Nets and a OKC situation, you know? You get these young players and you have uh it's hard. Trey's not older, but he is.
Yeah, he's 26 now.
And he's been in the league a good amount of time. So
Right,
you have an older player who you love, but you're just not getting it done. But then you trade them and get these picks like the Thunder. They got all those picks because of PG and Chris Paul and all that. And now look at them. So it's like
right,
you got to look at the teams that were in the position you were in and see the success that they were able to gain from it. And
right.
you gotta start pulling some cards and making something happen. Because like you
Yeah,
said, they're just sitting around and they don't want to let them go because of that one season that they had. But
yeah.
they let go of the pass.
And Atlanta's a like it's not a big of as big of a market as Boston and Los Angeles, but Atlanta's a pretty big market.
Yeah.
So they can get guys in free agency down the line once these guys have developed and really are ready to compete. They could add to that through free agency, unlike some of the small market teams that have to rebuild it from the ground up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that kind of goes into the viewership thing, the next topic that we wanted to talk about, the viewership, where I think part of the problem is the imbalance between small market and large market teams. You know what I mean? The same every year in the finals. This is usually a large market team. The only team that's really done it right is the Nuggets in recent history, and I think that that's part of the viewership problem. Part of what's disengaging fans, and I think lower market teams have to find a way to draft right and build that way out of without being able to get into free agency that had like large market teams.
And yes, I agree with what you're saying. But the smaller market teams, they also, like, let's just use last year, for example, the Pacers.
Yeah,
They're there, but I don't know what it is, but their inability to close a game last season killed them.
yeah,
And if they close a game before they get swept, they're up. If they close the games how they're supposed to, they're up 3-1 in that series. But like the smaller markets, like you said, they just like let's look at the Hornets and Wizards. They're kind of just there. Like
right,
they got
right,
Melo or
right.
they got Jordan Poole. Like, okay, and then what's the rest of the team?
Hmm.
It's just like it is. It's hard to compete because who wants to go to Charlotte knowing that they have never had a winning record, honestly.
Right,
Um, who wants to go to the Wizards? Last time they were good, John Wall was the starting point guard
right.
and Bradley Beal was the two. So it's
We
like,
talking 10 years.
yeah. So like you said, they got to find a way to draft and I guess also got to find a way to give people hope to want to, okay, let me come here and let me turn this organization around.
Right.
Like John Wall did. He came, he put the city on the map, He had Washington lit.
Hey, Washington was buzzing.
Yeah. But you haven't had anybody since him. So you kind of just fall off. Nobody wants to come to a place that ain't got no name, especially today's age.
Yeah.
It's all about the image that you have ultimately in the media world.
What else you think plays a part in that viewership, the viewership problem?
I think I think there's two main things. The way the NBA makes it so difficult to watch games
True.
and the players only play when they want to play.
Hmm.
I'll start with the NBA making it difficult. There is at least 8 different streaming services you have to watch an NBA game. That's ridiculous. And I was actually talking about this with one of the broadcasters yesterday on the way to the game. And he asked me if I watched NBA. I was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, it's nice that they have at least one game on a day, like on national TV.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, that is nice. But then they have 10 games a day and you're only able to watch one game.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, but getting NBA League Pass is worth it. But it's like, I don't feel like you should have to go to that extent to just watch basketball.
Facts.
Versus where you look at college, if I go on YouTube TV right now, I guarantee you there's 8 college basketball games going.
ESPN Plus, you can watch every game.
Like, it's the NBA, I believe, is just becoming a money grab. And it just, it takes away for the love of the sport that the people who really enjoy basketball have for it.
Well, at the end of the day, we have to remember the NBA is a business. And the money that they're making off of the different streaming platforms that they're spreading the games on, they're making more money,
They are.
right? Which
Yeah.
I mean, the NBA is a business, and that's what they're trying to do, trying to make money. But I think that you got to hear me out here. The Luka Doncic trade, right? Very fishy.
I yeah,
The players weren't involved. The coaches weren't they didn't let the coaches know. We're talking owner to owner, billionaire to billionaire. I
just
feel like I feel like this has something to do with trying to pull fans in and pull the viewership back up. Because that's the you just traded 25-year-old Luka Doncic
because you're concerned with his weight. No,
because you're concerned. You don't do that. He
you
just
don't do
went to the
that.
finals. To the finals, bro.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. There's definitely something. I think it is. I think it's a viewership trade.
Hmm.
LA, big market team, and LA always has to have a superstar. And knowing Bron's on the way out, you got to keep a superstar in LA. So
Yeah.
go ahead and pull from a small market like Dallas, and you bring them here. But another thing I think is, I'm not gonna say this is all viewership, but this season's been a lot of game winners since people start saying the viewership down.
Mm,
All this we had a Darius Garland game winner this week, a Anthony Edwards game winner this week.
mm.
All of a sudden, it's just all close battles and every team
Right.
is competitive.
Right. Right.
I don't the money game. The NBA is a smart Adam Silver and his team. They know what they're doing. I'll
Right.
give them that. But
Hey, they know what they're doing over there.
it's definitely, especially with the media now, people pick up on things and the media gonna put it together before you realize they will put it together.
And we just had the biggest trade deadline ever
Yeah.
out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. Biggest trade deadline ever, bro. Luka getting traded is I think it's opened up doors for other teams to like you don't know who's safe now. You don't know who's safe. Because if Luka is someone that was universally viewed as untouchable,
Yeah.
nobody would have ever thought Luka would get traded. So now like it changes what we view as untouchable, what we define as untouchable.
I mean, if a player who could take you to the finals is not untouchable, nobody is.
I don't know what is.
I like, I guess you have to win a ring to be considered untouchable now. Like that, I don't understand. That's crazy. And it's like the players after that trade, they talk about they packing their bags just in case. They never know what's going to happen.
Right,
And then after trade deadline, they posted memes talking about Miles Turner posted a meme talking about I survived.
right.
John Morant posted on the golf course with a beer. Like they're really stressing over this trade deadline stuff because of that single trade. Like
Because Luka got traded.
that just changed everything.
Right.
And Bede said he's playing again because he was nervous. Like it's crazy how one factor like that can just
And you see the domino effect of things going on in the league, viewership problem. Now, Embiid not sitting out, people tune into the Sixers again. I asked you today if Paul George and them was playing. You tell me the whole big three playing
oh big three
against
max.
the Pistons.
Yeah, that's a game
Eh,
where big three sit out.
right.
But Yeah, all three of them playing, and then Luka playing. They're marketing Luka's return from injury.
Right.
I would say that again.
Bumped it to ESPN.
I would say that again. They're marketing Luka's return from injury to play with LeBron.
Hmm.
They know what they're doing,
They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
and I mean I'm not mad at it. Make your money.
Hey, they got me.
Yeah,
I'm tuned in.
I'm tuned in for
Hey,
sure.
they got me. I'm tuned in from the pregame.
But yeah, I don't know. I just think that there's only so much they could do, and if they felt this was a step they had to take, I'm not against it. But I don't feel like it should have to go this far to where this is a trait that makes players want to play basketball again.
Oh, do you think that the style of play is something that is going into viewership problems?
That's a hard question just because of how far the game has evolved. I think that it's hard to say like, oh, they're just shooting threes or they're not like trying to play inside.
Hmm.
But the defense has got better. It's harder to just go get a bucket inside.
Right.
And players' ability to create their own shots, they create so much separation or get teammates open because of their skill that they have now. It's of course they're gonna shoot the open three.
Bro, yeah, so my girlfriend is Spanish, right? Watches a lot of EuroLeague, familiar with a lot of EuroLeague, doesn't like the NBA. And I ask her why. And she says that the NBA is just a show. It feels like a big show. And she thinks that they don't run plays, they don't play defense. But my argument has been, first of all, from the play calling situation, I'll tell everybody this that says they don't run plays in the NBA. The play calling is not always to end up in a backdoor cut for a layup. The play calling is to run a set that gets your player the ball in his hands in a spot where they can create their shot because they're that good. They're
Right.
that skilled. That's the skill level. Like they don't need to run plays X's and O's to get open shots. Like these guys are good enough to get the ball in their hands with the guy in their face, create space to get a good shot. They don't need the coach to do all that, right? And from a um defense perspective, that goes into the skill gap that I was just talking about. The players have gotten so good in the NBA that you could play perfect defense and Shea still gonna hit that mid range over you.
Right.
Tatum still gonna get that side step three, and he's still gonna hit it. You could get the best contestant in the world, still gonna hit it. It's just a skill gap now.
It's all it is, a skill gap. And like you said, with the set plays, what what are you telling the best basketball players in the world to run? Like this is what they do. They can run motion offense and they know how to get an open look. They're not gonna just force up something. They don't
Right,
have option A, B, and C like a college play drawn up. They
right,
can figure out who's hot, who's in what position, where they're at on the court, and they can feed them the rock and know that they're gonna make a play.
yeah.
So I don't believe that it's a I can see why she says it's a show. There's a lot of ISO ball. It's
Hmm.
very it's very what's the word? Like higher athlete dominant like Ant, Braun,
Yeah,
named players, they're gonna want the ball more, put up 25 shots a game.
yeah.
Those players also, they got that name for a reason.
They
They
work for that. Like
they're doing
they
something to where the media and people are like, okay, let me continue to watch them play.
they're not just shooting all these shots because like they have to. They they practice these shots. They make these shots. They get paid so much money because of how good they are, because of how skilled they are. You know what I mean? And it's evident when the Olympics come around
Yeah.
and we send our best team out there. They can play that way too. The Olympic style of basketball is very different from the NBA, and they
Hmm.
can do that and win like that. But in the NBA, it's just more free. It's just it's a different game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the Olympics, that's a great example. We saw it firsthand. They they're losing and they stopped listening to Steve Kerr.
Hey,
We
facts
we have LeBron, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant on the same team. Why are we calling plays?
for real,
Get the ball in one of their hands, get out the way. They're getting a bucket.
bro. That was beautiful, bro. I never felt so American in my life. I never felt so
One
American
of
in my life, bro.
one of the few times proud to be an American.
Hey, Kevin Durant. Oh my gosh, when he that mid range shot that he had, bro. I don't know why that resonated with me so much, but that midi, I remember that moment to this day.
The moment to stick with me, that KDE first half, 21.7 for 7 from the field.
Yeah, yeah. First game, and he's hurt. He was hurt.
Yeah, that yeah, man. I just pure hoops is just the best hoops, and I think the Olympics
Facts.
they showed the pure hoops.
Hmm. And it makes you as a fan like really engage with it. You know, like I felt like going to our next topic. I felt like a college fan.
Dude, college
College
basketball.
fandom is
I love
it
college.
separates the two, college and NBA. It's the fan like the fandom is a big part of what separates college basketball and NBA.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like I go to a blue blood school, Indiana, you know. So college basketball runs deep here. Unfortunately, not the best team this year, but still being in Assembly Hall every at those games, I'm just like, this is crazy. Like people really die, like do or die about this.
Yeah.
It's just it makes the game so much more enjoyable and like knowing that a three goes up, the whole stadium's rocking for two possessions. Like
Hmm.
you get a good stop on defense, you can hype the crowd up, the whole crowd get loud. You can't even hear your coach talking to you no more. Like
Facts. Facts.
NBA just don't have that level of excitement that college has.
Yeah.
And this is just, you know, like seeding and regular season play.
Yeah.
March Madness is a whole different level.
And in college, every game matters,
Yeah.
right? In the NBA, like you look back at the end of the season and man, if we would have won that game, it would have put us in a position to make the playoffs. But in college, like when you get to those conference games, you play your however many games at the beginning of the season, you know, get
Mhm.
going, figure out your team. But when you get to those conference games, from that first game on, every game is so important. And I think that adds to the intensity of college basketball and why fans can be so engaged for every game because it matters so much.
Yeah, and that's a great point because I'll just use IU as an example again. They play who they play at home. I was gonna say Maryland, but Maryland's ranked this year. I'll just use the Northwestern game as an example. Actually, I'll use the Maryland game since it was a one-point loss. Maryland is I can't say the worst, but definitely not one of the best teams in the Big Ten or
Right,
in college basketball as a whole.
right.
And our Indiana team struggling, not winning games. Last win was against Ohio State in overtime.
Hmm.
Um, but that game was sold out, a complete sold out crowd, and they're losing. They're coming out of halftime losing, going into that third or second half, and the first 8 minutes they're losing. That second half as well, like it's getting ugly. Come out of that under eight timeout, and they just flip. A whole switch flips, and the whole stadium flip. It's loud every possession. Commentators are like yelling, like you can't even hear them on TV. It's that loud in there.
Right.
It's just it's just electric. I can't even. That's the only word I can use for it is electric. It's just
And and when you hear it at home, when you hear that, like watching it from your TV, when you hear the commentators having to yell over the crowd and stuff, like it adds energy to you watching the game at home. You know what I mean? And the NBA lacks a lot of that when we're not in the playoffs. Like
right.
in the playoffs, you know, when OKC had their whiteout games and the Heat have their whiteout, you know, like then it feels real. Like you're at home and you're engaged, but as far as the regular season, like the whole college basketball, everything matter, every game matters. Like the atmosphere is always like that for these basketball schools. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I was telling people at the media school, we were talking about NBA and stuff. I was like, NBA games really don't start mattering till after Christmas.
Yeah,
That first quarter of the season, like it does nothing for
right.
the team, no matter how good or bad you start. Once you get to Christmas, you lock in that from that point forward will determine your playoff push and where you're seated
Yeah,
on. And so, and like you said with college, and I just think it's so different. Once conference play starts, if you're not there, then you might not even make not gonna get seated good for your conference tournament, and you're not gonna make March
for
Madness.
sure not making March Madness.
And I think that goes into college. Those is basketball players. They want to play. They're out there every game. They're fighting through injuries. They're not a little jammed finger. They're playing. They're not worried
Right,
about that.
right.
NBA, they they roll
They
their
already have the name. They already have the name. College players are still trying to get their name out there, still trying to prove themselves. You know what I mean? It's a different level of hunger when you at a level that you still trying to grow, still trying to climb the ladder of the business.
Now let me ask you, does that hunger go away now that college players are making millions?
I think it adds pressure to them, honestly, because you have so much more pressure to perform.
Right.
Um, when you're not getting paid, you know, like these schools they have money like put into you because they you're supposed to perform. When you don't perform, that money is taken away. So it's not a given that every player is gonna be able to make millions and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I wanted to ask that because um I was at the game yesterday and the Ruggers radio hosts were talking to us and they said
Yeah,
Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper alone got paid 3.4 million. So I was just
that's
like,
crazy.
it's crazy to see like in live action these players getting paid that type of money in
Yeah.
college.
Yeah. Yeah, bro, college money is crazy. But we out of time for today. Gonna have to wrap it up. Good episode two. Continue to show love, continue to share for us. Subscribe, tell your peoples, tell your grandma, your mama, your poppy, everybody. Tell tell
Everybody.
tell everybody. Subscribe. Look out for videos on the Instagram and TikTok. Keep showing love. Peace.